When I saw my childhood bully's name on a job application, I knew the interview would be wild, but no one expected what I did. Hey Reddit, before we start, I just want to say that this is our new channel, and we're really working hard to bring you the best stories. So make sure to subscribe to get us 1,000 subscribers very soon. Let's start the story. I work in HR at a mid-sized tech firm. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills, and more importantly, I have a say in who gets hired. We go through hundreds of resumes every month, and most of them blur together, until one name slapped me across the face like a ghost from the past. Marcus. Marcus L. I stared at the screen, heart thudding. There was no way it was the same Marcus who made my high school years a living hell. But as I scanned the resume, the hometown matched, the graduation year lined up, and then I saw the email address. Marcus 187. It was him. No doubt about it. In high school, Marcus wasn't just your run-of-the-mill jerk. He was the ringleader of a pack of wolves who fed off humiliation. I was the nerdy, socially awkward kid with a stutter. He made sure everyone noticed that. He shoved me into lockers, spread rumors that got me ostracized, and even once convinced a girl I had a crush on to pretend to like me as a prank. That one still hurts. For years, I carried that trauma like a scar no one else could see. Therapy helped, adulthood helped, but I'll be honest, there were nights I lay awake imagining running into him again, finally standing up for myself, finally getting the upper hand. And now I had it. I didn't immediately reject his application. No, that would have been too easy. And maybe a small, twisted part of me wanted to see if he'd changed. His resume was decent. He had experience, and on paper, he was actually a strong candidate. But I wanted to look him in the eye and see if he remembered what he did. I scheduled the interview personally, not over Zoom. In person, I wanted him to walk into my office, sit in my chair, and look into the eyes of the person he once tormented daily. The day of the interview, I wore my sharpest suit. I needed every ounce of confidence. I told myself I wouldn't let emotions take over, that I'd stay professional. But the moment he walked in, all those feelings I thought I'd buried came flooding back. He looked older, obviously, a little worn out, but still the same smug face, the same confident swagger. I stood up, extended my hand, and introduced myself. His eyes narrowed for a second. I saw the flicker of recognition, and then guilt. Oh, he remembered. Marcus tried to play it cool, but I could tell he was thrown off. I went through the standard interview questions, watching him squirm a bit. Then I veered off script. I asked him if he believed people could truly change. He gave some half-baked answer about growth and maturity. I asked him if he'd ever done anything in his past that he regretted. He paused, looked me dead in the eyes, said yes. I asked him if he wanted to elaborate. He didn't. It was like a game of psychological chess, and I was winning. He was sweating by then, his confidence slowly cracking. But then, just when I thought I had him pinned, he said something that completely threw me. He apologized. Not a vague, empty sorry if I ever hurt anyone kind of apology. He said my name, my full name, and said he remembered what he did to me. He said he's carried the guilt for years, that he hated the person he used to be, and that what he did was inexcusable. He looked me in the eyes and said he wasn't asking for forgiveness, just a chance to prove he wasn't that guy anymore. I didn't know what to say. For a solid minute, I just sat there. The power I thought I had in that moment didn't feel satisfying. I didn't feel like the victor. I felt confused, angry, relieved, even a little sad. This wasn't how the story was supposed to go. I thought I'd feel some grand sense of justice, but all I felt was the weight of old pain crashing into a new reality. And then I made a decision that shocked even myself. I told him I'd be in touch. He thanked me, shook my hand again, this time humbly, and left. And I sat in that office for a long time, staring at the door he walked out of, unsure if I just made the biggest mistake of my life or took the first step toward closure. But that wasn't the end of it. Because 2 days later, something happened at the office that completely changed everything I thought I knew. Not just about Marcus, but about who I was becoming. And that's when things really spiraled. I thought I had moved on. I thought by handling the interview professionally, by not lashing out or sinking to his level, I had finally taken back some control. But the truth is, after Marcus left my office, I couldn't stop thinking about him. The way he looked at me, the way he said my name with shame. That look in his eyes, it wasn't fake. It wasn't manipulative. It was raw, real, and that messed with me more than I expected. 2 days after the interview, our department manager called an emergency meeting. We had just lost a new hire to a competitor at the last minute, and suddenly we were shorthanded on a project that was already behind schedule. The team needed someone fast. Guess whose name came up? Marcus. Not because of me. I hadn't even forwarded my hiring notes yet. But another department had seen his resume too and flagged him as a good candidate. My manager wanted my input, fast. It felt like a moment of truth. I could tank him right there, bury the past like a bad secret, and move on. Or I could let him in. Given the shot he said he needed. Every fiber of my ego screamed no. But something deeper, some quiet voice I hadn't heard in years, told me to try something different. I told my manager he was worth interviewing. A week later, Marcus joined the team. From the moment he stepped into the office, the atmosphere shifted. Everyone liked him. He was humble, helpful, even funny. Not the funny I remembered, mean-spirited and mocking, but self-deprecating in a way that felt genuine. He worked hard, asked questions, stayed late when needed. And slowly, despite myself, I found it harder and harder to hold on to the hate I had carried for so long. Still, I kept my distance. I watched him from across the break room, evaluated his interactions in meetings. I was waiting for the mask to slip, waiting for a snide remark, a slip of the tongue, anything that would reveal that the old Marcus was still hiding underneath the polished exterior. But it never came. 3 weeks into his employment, we ended up alone in the office late one night, finishing up a report. The silence was thick. Then he broke it. I was such an a-hole back then, he said. I didn't reply. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want to say it. I've changed. But I know I don't get to decide if that matters to you. That's when something cracked open in me. I looked at him, really looked at him. Not as the kid who destroyed my confidence, but as a man trying to rebuild his own. And in that moment, I realized something I hadn't fully accepted until then. I wasn't the same kid either. I had built a life. I had become someone. Someone strong enough to sit across from his worst memory and not let it define him anymore. I told him I appreciated the apology, that it didn't erase anything, but it meant something. And then I said something I never thought I would say. You're doing a good job here. Keep it up. He nodded. Quietly. No smugness. Just a quiet understanding between two people who had outgrown their past, even if the scars would never fully fade. Over the next few months, we actually became, well, not friends exactly, but something close. We respected each other. We worked well together. And one day, at the company barbecue, he introduced me to his daughter. She was shy, clinging to his leg. He picked her up, kissed the top of her head, and said to her, "This guy? He's one of the best people I know." I almost laughed. If you had told high school me that Marcus would say that one day, I would have assumed you were insane. But here we were. The story didn't end with revenge, or dramatic confrontation, or some perfect justice. It ended with growth. With letting go. Not because he deserved it, but because I did. And in the end, that was enough.